With a large family and a full house, this place can get out of control very quickly. As we all move throughout our week, there are a lot of items that can get disheveled, get thrown in the wrong place. There are a lot of meals that need to be made, dishes to be done, walls to get smudged by little hands. This place can just really get out of control fast and needs constant attention. Usually sometime around midweek, and to be completely honest, small tasks like this happen multiple times a day, every day by all the members of our family. But there are these moments where we want to do a complete reset, declutter some things that maybe continuously get out of control, that if we just would take a little time to revisit them, they wouldn't be so bad and they wouldn't require so much of our attention. That's something I find myself doing oftentimes. We also have a laundry system that I've explained on here many times, where for the most part, we don't have to put laundry away. It's just a matter of moving the clothes from the washer to the dryer to the baskets that are all in the laundry room. We wash every day and we just keep it going through those motions. So from washer to dryer to baskets, but every once in a while, usually around midweek, we need to actually empty some of the baskets that have too much laundry in them. So there's that. There's usually the fridge needs to be redone a bit. We need to bring in more meat from the outside freezer for meal prep. I need to start some new bread, maybe make up a batch of granola for an easy breakfast the rest of the week. So after making a simple breakfast, chocolate milk, eggs, and sausage for my family, and getting a brisket in the oven for later tonight, we're going to get to some of those reset things. One of the reasons that I spend so much time in my kitchen fermenting bread, making milk kefir, yogurt, sauerkraut, and food from scratch is that I have the belief that food is medicine and that nutrients should be eaten. That's why I want to tell you about today's video sponsor, Jim. Jim has the same belief that I do, that your nutrients can come from food. One thing that I struggle with when it comes to supplements is remembering to take them, the motivation to have that be a daily part of my routine. With Jim, that is not a problem at all because they are so delicious. They come in bites that are formulated with real food ingredients. Things like pumpkin seeds, turmeric, citrus, mushroom, dates, chickpeas, ginger. They contain prebiotics and probiotics, meeting all of these needs that you might be looking for in one place, in one delicious daily bite. I look forward to this each day because it is so delicious. I love the texture. It's chewy. It has hints of turmeric and ginger, a little sweet, also crunchy, slightly tangy. I really enjoy the taste. I actually looked at the package to see what happens if you take 2 a day. I've been enjoying this as a daily part of my routine, knowing that covering the bases with real food. Jim is offering Farmhouse On Boone viewers a special deal off your first month of Jim with my link in the description box below and the code BOONE. Again, thank you so much to Jim for sponsoring today's video. My typical flow in the kitchen is I bring in a whole bunch of meat from the freezer on a Monday morning, usually after the weekend. We've consumed all of the leftovers for easy meals that we had from the previous week. We've just eaten all the meat that was in there. And then Monday morning, I usually have a grocery order with all of my restock items. Now, there's things that I keep all the time. Like I always have baking supplies and bulk grains and things like that in my pantry. I've gone over kind of recently what I keep in my pantry and how I keep that stocked, but then I'll refresh all of the fruits and the vegetables. Typically once a week on Monday, we get our milk pickup throughout the week. We actually have 3 different days that we pick up milk, which is really nice because it stays very fresh. It works out better for the dairy farmer as well. Since I'm not a meal planner, I'm usually looking in the refrigerator around midweek to see what meat is in there, what I pulled Monday, and that's not always a very intentional thing, what goes in. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this sounds kind of good. I'll bring in this particular meat so we can make burgers on this particular day. But mostly I'm just filling up my meat bowl or 9x13 pan with what we need to use up. So it depends on seasonally when we've restocked our meat. I look in there and think, what do I need to make? Since we do purchase our beef in bulk, we get half of a cow, a side of beef in October and a side of beef in April. We just restocked. We end up with a lot of ground beef. And so I've been looking for lots of different ways to use that up that isn't just the same things over and over, because we tend to do tacos and spaghetti and burgers, and I'm trying to find a little bit of variety. So I have been enjoying making some ground beef pot pies. Now that recipe is over on farmhouseonboone.com if you like a printable version. One substitution I did make is I did 100% whole grain for the pie crust. So the recipe on the blog calls for all-purpose. I subbed a hard white wheat 1-for-1 for that all-purpose, so it'll be a nice whole grain crust. I brought that together, put it in a Ziploc, put it in the fridge so I can roll it out later after it's chilled a while. It'll be easier to roll out while I get this filling going with the ground beef, onions, carrots, garlic, all that good stuff. Since I already had my baking stuff out, I already had milled up a whole bunch of hard white wheat, I decided to mix up 2 more doughs. So I did my sourdough hamburger buns. Again, that recipe is on farmhouseonboone.com. I did a 100% whole wheat version, subbed it 1-for-1 hard white wheat with the all-purpose. And then I also did a 50-50 all-purpose hard white wheat boule. So this is my no-knead sourdough boule. Again, it's on the website. I will link all of these recipes below and how I substituted, which it sounds complicated, but truly it's not because they're all 1-for-1. So that later on I can get some bread going and I can also have these buns going to go with the brisket for tonight. I'm going to be spending a lot of time this afternoon working on other parts of the house. So organizing, decluttering, catching up on laundry, some cleaning. And so I am going to spend a little extra time here in the kitchen after breakfast prepping both lunch and dinner. I do this often because Victor still takes his morning nap around 9:30 to 11, and then we do a later afternoon nap around 2. So this gives me some opportunity to not have to chase around the toddler. The other kids are usually just all around and I can keep an eye on them and help them with the things they need help with and interact with them throughout the morning, but get some of this kitchen prep work done. I also do usually have a ton of help in the kitchen because I have older kids who like to help, but I will spend time in the kitchen, typically getting something in the oven or the Instant Pot on low and slow or high pressure if you're doing it in the Instant Pot. That will be a good meat for dinner. Maybe prep some kind of dough for dinner and then getting lunch completely out of the way. So things are just going. And that way I know that I have dinner under control. Even if I'm not finishing it, just getting it started can really do a lot. So today I put that brisket in the oven. I have my whole grain sourdough buns rising on the countertop. The kitchen will be really warm today because I'm doing a lot of baking. Also, it's spring, so things are a bit warm. So because of that, the dough will rise a lot throughout the day and these sourdough buns will actually be ready by tonight to go with the brisket. I think people have the misconception that sourdough is always slow. It's a 2-day, 3-day process. I do same day sourdough all the time. So I'll get something going in the morning in order for it to be rising throughout the day and ready to go with dinner. As you can see here, I ran out of crust, but I had a lot of filling left over. So one of these is just getting topped with the whole grain sourdough crust, but that's totally fine. We're going to make it work. I will stretch and fold throughout the morning my double batch of bread and my hamburger buns for tonight. This is another thing that I love about bulk prep. You are already stretching and folding something, kind of spending a lot of time in your kitchen, getting all the things ready. You might as well have more than one thing going. So then tonight, the rest of this afternoon, tomorrow, I won't be spending much more time in the kitchen at all. Those will just be happily rising. I'll deal with them later and we'll have dinner taken care of and bread for tomorrow and maybe beyond that, maybe the next day. We do eat a lot of bread. I've shared this hard working little closet many times on this channel since we moved into this house back in November. It is where we keep all of the shoes, boots, coats, and coveralls for everyone in our large family. Now, it's a nice little closet. It's in a great location because it's close to the door that we always come in and out of. But no matter how nice a closet, that's a pretty tall order to house that much stuff for that many people. One thing that I can do to relieve a bit of the pressure is remove the coveralls. There are still occasions right now where we need coats because we're still getting days where it goes down to 40 degrees for the low, but we're at least to the point where we no longer need coveralls, just jeans and a coat will do. Also, Luke built this little shelf, which has been such a game changer just to give us a little bit of vertical space. Some of you mentioned on here a door hanger. I tried that. I actually got one and quickly realized it wasn't going to work for us because it was a lot of work to put all of the shoes in there. But when we stack them up on the little wood platform thing, we can actually really organize this closet. I now have 3 shelves high with what Luke built. And then toward the back of the closet, there's a few shelves that are very difficult to get to. That's where I put the winter boots. Because this house doesn't have a basement and We're really not trying to store things away like up in the attic or anything too long term because we're going to be moving again just at the end of this year, hopefully. I decided just to put all that stuff, even though it's really out of rotation right now and it will be for the rest of the summer and until we move. I decided to leave it in here. They're really out of the way and we have plenty of space that we can actually grab and go pretty easily. It really did help to declutter the closet a bit. And that's something that I love doing twice a year. Well, I don't really love it whenever we have to bring it all back out, but twice a year, usually May and October, I can in May get rid of a lot of the bulky stuff. So coming soon in May, I'll be able to even get rid of the coats and this closet will be a dream and a breeze. But when I can at least just remove the coveralls, even though it's a little bit of an extra job, doing those kind of swap-aroos, especially when you have a small space and a lot of people or a lot of stuff, it really helps so much and it's worth the extra effort, the extra tote, the extra putting it away wherever you might store it. I put away the excess laundry and now our laundry room is feeling much less cluttered. It is imperfect. It is not the most beautiful space, but it is another very hardworking room in our home. It serves a lot of functions. It's where we keep a lot of extra things like diapers and batteries and toilet paper, and it has our hot water heater. All the little boys' laundry actually stays in there. It will always be a certain amount of cluttered just because of all the functions it serves, but giving it the attention throughout the week to put things where they go, swap out the laundry, get rid of any excess laundry, it makes us feel ready for the rest of the week. Now it is afternoon nap time, so the youngest children in the house are sleeping. Luke takes the older boys to our farm, and the girls usually have about 12 sewing projects they're working on at any given time. I'm going to spend some time resetting the kitchen by getting a little bit more dinner prep done and making up a huge batch of granola that will work for us the rest of the week. We can put this with some homemade yogurt and honey and blueberries. It's great for a snack. It's great for breakfast or when you just want something really quick, like a kid's hungry right now. Granola is perfect for that. I never measure anymore for granola. I mix up some honey and coconut oil, add chopped nuts, oatmeal, cinnamon, salt. I usually taste it to see if it's sweet enough, salty enough, it has enough cinnamon, and then I toast it in the oven. I find that with granola, you almost can't go wrong. It's easy, and that's what makes it the perfect thing to make on one of these reset days. I also earlier divided up my sourdough buns dough that has been fermenting throughout the morning and the afternoon into 10 parts. Now, the recipe on the blog calls for 8. I always divide it into 10 because it's a little bit too much bread, I find, especially for the little kids when you make them like standard size buns. So I just divide them in 10. Since I have the oven going to toast this granola, I put the buns on top of the oven so that they'll rise extra fast. I can bake them really quick to go with this brisket that will pair with some date barbecue sauce. Make sure to always stir granola halfway in between so it gets nice and toasty all throughout. I'm adding in some raisins and some toasted coconut. I'll put this in a glass jar on the counter and we will have this finished by the beginning of next week for sure, maybe even sooner. Since I got dinner going this morning, the meat's good to go. I sliced up that brisket. The buns are good to go. It took a little prep work this afternoon dividing them, but a bulk of that was already done. All I need to do now before we can have dinner is slice up some potatoes. I'm going to fry them in lard so we can serve these brisket sandwiches with some fries. While I'm in the kitchen, I'm going to take the bread dough I started earlier, which was that half all-purpose, half hard white wheat boules from my no-knead sourdough bread recipe. Divide it in 2, shape it, get it in Banneton baskets and into the fridge so I can bake tomorrow. And then my work is done in the kitchen. I got a bulk of it out of the way this morning so I could reset the house this afternoon and spend time with the family this evening.
Just taste it.